So yesterday we assembled our twined rag loom, so we're ready to start weaving. And here's an example of one that was done on this size of loom. This is a nice size for a bath mat or a kitchen rug, and it makes a nice, really thick, durable rug. And you can wash them in the machine, lay them flat to dry. Very durable. So I have gathered my fabric, and I'm actually using old sheets that I have torn into strips about 1.5 inches to 2 inches wide, depending on the thickness of your fabric. If your fabric is thinner, you need to cut it a little wider. And I find it useful to go to thrift shops and find my old sheets because they're very inexpensive. And you probably need a couple sheets for a rug this size. So I've ripped mine into 1.5 inch pieces, and I've joined a number of them together. So you can see I have a whole pile joined together to do the warp. Now you don't want to join a whole bunch together when you're weaving across, because you want to work with shorter pieces. But when you're doing the warp, you don't want to have to stop every couple times and put a new piece on. So to start, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a square knot around that first warp. So that's a square knot. And then I'm just going to go back and forth. This is why I don't like to have to stop and tie my pieces on. So we're going to go back and forth, pulling it pretty firmly. And you can see where I have joined pieces together. So I'm just going to go back and forth all the way across, and I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to end at the top. Now I want to try to get these pretty tight, but I can go back when I'm done and adjust them. So I always warp up in a horizontal position, but I weave in an upright or vertical position. And one thing nice about this size of loom is you can sit it on your lap and lean it against a table or a counter, and makes it easy so you don't have to bend over. I don't like to weave when I have it laying flat like this. Okay, so I've reached the other end. I don't need that much. And I'm going to tie a square knot again. And you can actually pull that up a little bit. Now, if your warp is not tight enough, make sure it's down on the pegs good. So if your warp is not tight enough, you can go back and work some of that slack out of it just by pulling it across. So you can work some of that slack out. See, I've got quite a bit of slack in here. And the other thing I try to do is I don't like to have my knots go around the post like that, so I may have to work it out the other way. So you want to work out any slack you have so your warp is nice and tight. The tighter your warp is, the easier it is to weave. And then when you get over here to the end, just slide your knot up again. You've taken that much slack out. Now some of the twining looms you see have a steel bar that goes along the outside pegs so that you can actually twine around that, so that supposedly it keeps your edges straighter. I don't like to have to be bothered with that. And anyway, if you really pull too tight and it draws in, when you take that steel bar out, it'll still draw in. So we have our warp all done, have it all tightened, and so now we're ready to begin the weaving process. So before you begin to weave, let me show you a quick method of joining your fabric pieces so you don't have to sew them, glue them, or knot them. So I just take my fabric ends and I cut each one into a triangle just so I don't have ends to work themselves out of my weaving. So I do that to both pieces. You don't have to cut the triangle, but I just think it makes for fewer ends to work out. And then I fold that little triangle and I cut a slit about 1 inch long, both pieces. So I cut a slit in this one. So now I have a slit in both pieces. I run one end through the other slit, and then I take the end and run it through that slit. And I want to pull them up snug. There you have a nice, firm, neat join that won't come undone and is easy to do.